Welcome back to Everyday English, where we help you navigate life's hardest conversations. What do you say when your ex-partner is late to pick up the kids again and you are about to explode? Imagine it is Saturday morning. The doorbell rings. You open it, checking your watch. You are 20 minutes late, you think. The anger is rising. Your heart beats fast because you know a fight is coming, but you also know your children are listening just behind the door.
I actually remember my own parents having this exact argument in our driveway when I was growing up. It wasn't really about the time, it was about control. It is such a dangerous moment for a child to see, and I remember wishing they had a way to just talk without the anger.
In this lesson, you will learn the 3 neutralizing phrases that stop this fight immediately and get you back on schedule. Today we are discussing a topic that is becoming very common but is rarely taught in textbooks. We are talking about co-parenting.
Co-parenting. That is a very modern term, isn't it?
It is. In the past, people just said divorced or single parent, but co-parenting implies something active. It means you are no longer husband and wife, but you are still partners in the business of raising a child. And like any business partnership, if you don't communicate well, the business fails. But in this case, the business is your child's happiness. Exactly. The stakes are very high, and the hardest part of co-parenting is often the handover or the drop-off. This is the moment when the child moves from one house to the other.
It is physically the moment where you have to see your ex-partner face to face. If there are unresolved feelings, or if the divorce was acrimonious, this is where the explosion happens.
Right. So we are going to listen to a conversation between Mark and Lisa. They have been divorced for about 6 months. Mark is arriving to pick up their son, Leo. And notice the tone. It is polite, but it is very thin. You can feel the tension right under the surface. Let's listen to the dialogue. Mark. Hi, Lisa. Is Leo ready to go? Sorry, I'm a bit late. The traffic on the highway was a nightmare. Lisa. He's getting his bag. But Mark, this is the 3rd time this month. We have a drop-off window for a reason. I have plans today, and now I'm running behind. I know. Unforeseen circumstances. Look, while I'm here, I wanted to ask about next month. My mom's birthday is coming up on the 12th. I was hoping we could swap weekends. You want to swap weekends? Mark, you can't just spring that on me at the door. I've already booked swimming lessons for that Saturday. Come on, it's his grandmother's 70th. It's important. Can't you meet me halfway on this? I want to be flexible, but we need to stick to the schedule. If you want to change dates, you need to email me a week in advance. That was the agreement. Okay, fine. I'll send an email. Just don't make me out to be the bad guy in front of Leo, okay? I never badmouth you to him. I just want stability for him. That is in his best interest. I get it. I'll have him back by Sunday at 6. Okay, that was tense. Very tense. You could feel Lisa trying really hard not to yell. And Mark trying to be casual, but also getting defensive. It's a classic dynamic. One person wants strict rules, the other person wants flexibility. Let's break this down, because there is so much excellent vocabulary here for managing conflict. It really sounded like a business negotiation. It did, and that is actually the secret to successful co-parenting. You have to treat it like a business. Lisa used a phrase early on. Drop-off window. I drop off window. We know what a window is in a house, but here she means a specific period of time. Right. In logistics or delivery services, you might say, your package will arrive in the window between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. So when Lisa says, we have a drop-off window, she is saying, we agreed on a specific time for you to arrive. Maybe the window is 10 a.m. to 10:15 a.m. And Mark missed the window. He was late. It's a useful phrase because it sounds objective. Instead of saying you are late, which sounds like an accusation, she refers to the window. It makes it about the rule, not the person. Exactly. And then Lisa uses another very strong phrase. She says, we need to stick to the schedule. To stick to something. This is a phrasal verb we use all the time. It means to adhere to or to follow closely without changing. You can stick to a diet. I am trying to lose weight, but it is hard to stick to this diet because I love pizza. You can stick to a budget. We spent too much money last month. we really need to stick to our budget this month. And in co-parenting, you stick to the schedule. Why is this phrase better than saying, don't change the plan?
Don't change the plan is a command. It sounds bossy. Stick to the schedule sounds like you are both looking at a piece of paper and agreeing to follow it. It removes the emotion. It suggests that the schedule is the boss, not Lisa. Precisely. It is neutralizing language. Now, Mark tries to excuse himself. He says, unforeseen circumstances. That is a very formal phrase for a Saturday morning doorstep chat. It is. Unforeseen means simple, not seen before, or unexpected, and circumstances are the situation. He is basically saying, stuff happened that I didn't plan for, but he uses the formal words to sound more responsible. If he said, I overslept, he looks bad. If he says, unforeseen circumstances, he sounds like a victim of fate. It is a deflection tactic. He is trying to minimize his mistake so he can ask for a favor. And that brings us to the favor. He wants to swap weekends, and he uses a great idiom here. He says, can't you meet me halfway? To meet someone halfway, this is pure negotiation vocabulary. Imagine two people standing on opposite sides of a field. If one person walks all the way to the other, they are doing all the work. But if both people walk to the middle, they meet halfway. It means to compromise. I give a little, you give a little. In this context, Mark is saying, I know I am changing the plan, but please give up a little of your control to help me. And Lisa's reaction is interesting. She doesn't say no. She says, I want to be flexible, but flexible is the opposite of sticking to the schedule. This is the central tension of divorce, isn't it? You want to be flexible because life happens, but you need to stick to the schedule because trust is broken. That is deep, Sarah, and it is exactly right. When trust is broken, rules become the safety net. Lisa is holding on to the safety net. Before we get to the heavy emotional words Lisa used at the end, I want to point out a phrasal verb Lisa used when Mark asked for the swap. She said, you can't just spring that on me. To spring something on someone, like a spring that jumps out of a box. Surprise! It means to surprise someone with a big request or big news without warning. Usually it is something difficult. My boss sprung a new project on me at 5 p.m. on Friday. My landlord sprung a rent increase on me yesterday. So Lisa is saying, I need time to prepare. You cannot surprise me with this request right now. It creates stress, and stress leads to fights. Speaking of fights, let's look at the emotional vocabulary. Mark says, don't make me out to be the bad guy. To make someone out to be something. This means to portray them or to describe them in a certain way that might not be true. He made me out to be a liar, but I was telling the truth. Mark feels that Lisa is painting a picture of him as a bad father, and then he uses a specific word. Don't badmouth me. Badmouth. To badmouth. Is this one word or two? Usually one word. It is very informal. It means to speak negatively about someone to a third person. Specifically in divorce, it means saying bad things about the other parent to the child. Your father is lazy, your mother is crazy. That is badmouthing. And it is considered the #1 rule you should never break. Lisa defends herself immediately. She says, I never badmouth you. And then she uses the magic phrase, the most important phrase in family law and co-parenting. In his best interest, or in the best interest of the child. This is a legal standard, right? Courts use this? Yes. When a judge decides who gets custody, they don't ask, what does the mom want, or what does the dad want? They ask, what is in the best interest of the child? Lisa is using this legal concept to shut down the argument. She is saying, I am not being difficult because I hate you. I am being strict because it helps Leo. It is the ultimate trump card. You cannot argue against the best interest of the child. It is a very powerful way to end a conflict. It reframes the whole conversation. We are going to listen to the dialogue one more time in a minute, but before we do, I want to take a moment to ask you to subscribe to Everyday English Podcast if you haven't already. We create these episodes to help you manage real life, not just pass exams. Whether it's a job interview, a doctor's appointment, or a difficult conversation with an ex-partner, we want you to have the right words. So hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss our next episode on handling household finances. Now, let's listen to Mark and Lisa again. Notice how Lisa uses the schedule to protect herself from getting angry. Mark, hi Lisa, is Leo ready to go? Sorry I'm a bit late. The traffic on the highway was a nightmare.
He's getting his bag. But Mark, this is the 3rd time this month. We have a drop-off window for a reason. I have plans today, and now I'm running behind. I know. Unforeseen circumstances. Look, while I'm here, I wanted to ask about next month. My mom's birthday is coming up on the 12th. I was hoping we could swap weekends. You want to swap weekends? Mark, you can't just spring that on me at the door. I've already booked swimming lessons for that Saturday. Come on, it's his grandmother's 70th. It's important. Can't you meet me halfway on this? I want to be flexible, but we need to stick to the schedule. If you want to change dates, you need to email me a week in advance. That was the agreement. Okay, fine. I'll send an email. Just don't make me out to be the bad guy in front of Leo, okay? I never badmouth you to him. I just want stability for him. That is in his best interest. I get it. I'll have him back by Sunday at 6.
You know, Sarah, there is a very subtle grammar point in this dialogue that helps keep things neutral.
Oh, I love subtle grammar. What is it?
It is about how they talk about the future arrangements. Mark says, I'll have him back by Sunday. But imagine if he used the future continuous. Imagine if he said, I will be bringing him back on Sunday.
I'll be bringing him back. That sounds softer?
It sounds more like a schedule and less like a personal decision.
Can you give us some examples of how to use this?
Sure. This is our fluency builder for today. We call it the pivot. You want to pivot or turn away from accusing the person and towards stating the plan.
Okay, so instead of saying, you are late, which is accusing,
You can use the present simple or future continuous to state the fact. The pickup time is 10 a.m.
the pickup time is 10 a.m. That is hard to argue with. It is just a fact.
Exactly. Let's try another one. Instead of saying, you are ruining my weekend plans, which is very emotional,
You could say, I have made arrangements for the afternoon.
I have made arrangements. It sounds professional. It sounds adult.
What about the future? Instead of saying, are you going to pick him up next week, which sounds like I doubt you,
Use the future continuous. Will you be picking him up next week?
will you be picking him up? It implies that this is just part of the flow of events. It assumes the answer is yes. It's much more polite.
It distances the action from the person's will. It makes it sound like a train schedule. The train will be arriving at 10. You will be arriving at 10.
That is a great tip. When emotions are high, use grammar that removes the you and focuses on the process.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about culture. We are analyzing this from a very Western, specifically American or British perspective.
True, the idea of co-parenting, where the two biological parents negotiate a schedule, is very standard in the US, the UK, Canada, Australia.
But in many parts of the world, the family structure is different.
Right, in many cultures, if a couple separates, the extended family steps in immediately. The grandmother, the aunts, the cousins.
It takes a village, as they say. In those cultures, a strict drop-off window might seem very cold or strange. You might just drop the child at the grandmother's house and the other parent picks them up whenever.
There's also the issue of custody. Custody is the legal word for who keeps the child.
In the West, courts really try for joint custody or shared custody. They want 50-50 if possible.
But in some countries, sole custody is still the norm. Often the mother gets the children and the father has visitation rights, or sometimes the father's family claims the children.
It can be very different, and that changes the language you use. If you have sole custody, you don't need to negotiate as much. You just set the rules.
But in a 50-50 arrangement, you are forced to communicate. You have to be diplomatic even if you are hurt.
That is why phrases like meet me halfway and in the best interest of the child are so essential in English. You are constantly bargaining.
It is exhausting, honestly. I have friends who do it. It's like having a second job.
It is. But as we saw with Lisa, having a script helps. If you know exactly what to say, stick to the schedule, send me an email, you don't have to rely on your emotions.
You can go on autopilot.
Exactly. You protect yourself and you protect the child.
Tom, before we finish, I have a question for our listeners.
Let's hear it.
I am curious about the village concept. In your culture, who usually has custody of the children after a separation? Is co-parenting common, or does one parent usually take full responsibility?
That is a fascinating question. And do grandparents play a bigger role than the parents themselves?
Let us know in the comments. Try to use the words custody or stability in your answer if you can.
And remember, if you are going through this, the language of logistics, dates, times, windows is your friend. It cools down the heat.
If you found this helpful, your next step is to figure out the money side of things.
Yes, once the schedule is set, who pays for the swimming lessons? Who buys the new school shoes?
It never ends.
It doesn't. So go and listen to our episode on discussing household finances. We teach you how to split costs without arguing.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Good luck with your conversations, and see you next time.